Oh, hi. Hello. How you doing? My name is Waldo, and I'm here to feel the politics with you. How's everybody doing today? I am hot. Um, I live up in the Pacific Northwest near Seattle, and it's a sweltering 85 degrees right now. Now, I hear you saying you live in some place that isn't perfect, and it's much hotter than 85, and 85 isn't really that bad. I agree, but I don't have air conditioning. The houses up here aren't built with air conditioning. That's my air conditioner. You can see it right here. See it? See it? That window that is barely moving the blinds here. That means the air isn't blowing. And if the air doesn't blow, I just sit and stew. I just kind of swelter. So if I look sweaty tonight, it's because it's still 85 degrees here at 7 p.m. Um, Stupid summer, stupid sun beating down on my thing. You can see it. The sun's right about here behind me, right behind me. Um, but it'll go down. I'm sure you know that, but just in case you didn't know that, it will go down eventually. So anyway, hi, how's it going? How are you? I'm good. Today is Wednesday, so I've got a handful of links to look at. I've got some stuff to talk about. I've got some funny videos, and then we're going to talk about the big important things that happened today. El Sayed won, so that is good. He was a left-leaning person, and he won, and that's good, and we're happy about it. And there's lots of people who are not happy about it. There's lots of people who are complicated about it. Lots of people who hate him and everything he ever has said and done, and it's very complicated. There's a lot of feelings going on. There's a lot of feelings everywhere. There's feelings. So we're going to take a look at that. We'll do some stuff, and it'll be a good time for everyone involved. Let's get started. Yeah. Let's start with some fun stuff as usual. If you want to p- uh, pitch in, hop into chat, tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling. Eli is, I know you've been all over my YouTube page in the comments. Just tell me what policy the evil Democrat socialist Mamdani is doing to change little Italy into little Pakistan. That's all you got to do. Just tell me what policy did he pass? What idea? What law did he put in place to do this? I'm willing to bet you ain't got none. I'm willing to bet it's just vibes for you. You feel like a Muslim is represented within the government, and now everything is becoming more Muslim. It's vibes based, right? That's what I guess. But feel free to let me know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't live in New York. I live about as far away from New York as you can get, and it's not my jam. I've never been there. I don't want to go there, but Mom Donnie's pretty great. Isn't he? I mean, we can all agree on that, right? He's fantastic, and he does a lot of good work. And he honestly could be president, and he could win the election. He's just not allowed to run, as he was not born in America. So, well, maybe we can fix that. Maybe we can do something about that. Maybe we can make that change to the Constitution someday. And I'm not saying just to change it entirely, just change it for him. And I think that we'd all be a lot better off. Anywho, let's continue with. Let's look at some fun stuff. Is my Twitch up and running? It is. Why does it? Why does my? I've got a monitoring window over here, and it's not monitoring, and that makes me think that it's not working, and that makes me nervous, and then I look like a dummy when I go to look at the monitor, and it doesn't show me the thing I expect it to show me. So I'm gonna hit the F5 button and completely ruin the stream. Maybe not. There it is. Amazing. Now I can see Twitch chat, and I can see who's sending me messages and stuff like that. Okay, great. Let's continue with the fun stuff. Let's look at some silly things tonight. What silly stuff do we have to look at tonight? Let's look at this guy. Oops, that's not the right guy. Not that guy. I hate that guy. Let's look at display off. Window on. There. Bam. All right. This guy. I also hate this guy. But let's listen to what this guy has to say.
when the Freedom Caucus sent a letter to Mike Johnson in the House months ago. They said that any Reconciliation 3.0 bill must include strict dollar-for-dollar and year-for-year spending cuts to restore fiscal sanity, and if you want to have it pass and allow the parliamentarian to give the blessing. So putting fraud aside, do you believe that you can actually meet that goal of dollar for dollar and year for year spending cuts?
Oh, there is so much money to be saved up here. We're running $2 trillion deficits. There is now
a $2 trillion deficit. That's a big deficit. I wonder. I don't know if you remember, but like August of 2024, Trump told us that Doge and Howard Lutnick were going to make us down to zero deficit. Now we're at $2 trillion, the largest ever. I'm starting to think that Trump guy is a liar. Anyway, what else does the Crypt Keeper have to say here?
is there the will to do it? We have to do it, but is there will to do it? Look, interest rates are going up. Inflation is not under control. The reason why is
you're in charge of the government, motherfucker.
We're spending money that we don't have.
Yeah.
That's the government is the problem. It's not the Iran war. It's the government is the problem.
The government is the problem. Not the Iran war. The government is the problem. Motherfucker, you are the government. Rick Scott, you are a senator. You represent the people and the government. You are the government. And they're the problem? I agree, Rick Scott. You are the problem. Not the Iran war. And who runs the Iran war? The government. This guy is fucking amazing. He's just fantastic. He can just lie right to your fucking face. Fraud. And I know it was 60 seconds ago and we've all forgotten, but she did mention fraud. Rick Scott committed Medicaid fraud. Gigantic, monstrous, huge Medicaid fraud. He did it. He is part of the fraud, waste, and abuse. He abused the United States government. He stole your tax money to put into his pocket. And now he gets to be a senator because he says the right-wing talking points. You're allowed to rob the American people if you're a Republican. Always bothers me when he's on the TV, and I just cruise the news. You know, I look around for headlines and shit like that, and then this fucking piece of shit says something stupid like that. Government is the problem. You are the government, Rick Scott. You are the fraud. You are the waste. You are the abuse. You are the one who is responsible for building the system as it is right now. If the system is failing, you 85-year-old piece of shit, you put that system in place. And then you support that system. And then you cry and complain and whine when it doesn't pay you enough. Fucking makes me sick. What else we got? Hey, the Republican. Here's the people who are running for governor of Minnesota, including Mike Pillow. You're not going to see his face on this clip, but we're going to hear him talk. But Mike Pillow is going to get a bunch of cheers. I mean, the next governor of Minnesota might be the Pillow guy.
Lisa, next question's for you. We're going to stay on workforce and immigration. Metro surge impacted our state greatly at the beginning of this year. If you're governor and there's a
Metro surge was the all the ICE agents in Minnesota that we saw, where they killed a couple of innocent people and harassed thousands and got protested all the time and were honestly a gigantic nuisance, danger to the community.
Another immigration surge of officers. How do you lead?
As your next governor, the way that I look at the federal immigration laws is, first of all, I believe at a federal level, they desperately need changes. There needs to be updating to our federal immigration laws.
Oh my God, she wants to change the immigration laws. How exciting.
But as your governor, I commit that I will support our federal immigration laws regardless of who is in charge.
Oh, never mind. Never mind. Oh, the laws, they need to be changed, but I'm not going to change them. Ugh. You know, it's nerd shit. I'm not going to do it. She wants the laws to be different. She wants the laws to change. She wants them to be more intelligent, but she's not going to do that. Yuck. She's going to enforce the shitty ones that are on the books. Yeah, she's going to do that.
That is what I will be doing, is supporting the federal immigration laws and expecting those in Washington to finally do their jobs and make the meaningful changes that will make people safer, that will allow legal immigration. You know, it could be something as far as, instead of seasonal workers, expanding that, looking at things, but protecting our borders is what was desperately needed after the failed Biden administration.
No, it wasn't. Honestly, they scream this talking point nonstop, never ending, never ending, never ending. The failed Biden administration and their open borders, and there was no open borders. It never happened. It wasn't a thing, and even if it did, it didn't harm us. How many migrants did Joe Biden deport? Right off the top of the dome, right off the Google, it says that he deported 271,000. 272,000 in 2024 alone. And so you multiply that by 4, and he sent out 1 million people. It's just nonsense. They just make shit up. They just don't have any policy to talk about. They don't have anything good for you. They don't have any way to make your life better. So they just hate the immigrants, hate the immigrants, hate the immigrants, hate the immigrants. That's the only policy that these people ever have. Let's go back to what she was saying, though, because we haven't got to Mike Pillow yet. Let's hear what he has to say.
We need to make sure that our borders
She got a couple of claps.
of the United States and our state of Minnesota on the northern side are safe. So I will support federal immigration and expect those in Washington to do their job and update our immigration laws.
Immigrants aren't a danger to you. They just aren't. Statistically, you're more likely to have your job stolen by another American, or you're more likely to be attacked or damaged or harmed or robbed by an American than you are an immigrant. I mean, the numbers just bear that out. The math bears that out, but they don't care about math, the Republicans.
Mike?
Well, first of all, you need to prevent this. And on day one as governor, we're housing 1,400 felons illegals that have committed felonies in our prisons.
In prison, dog. They're in jail because they broke the law. The system caught them. They were tried. They were found guilty. They were placed in prison. Motherfucker, the system is working. Mike, that's how you want the system to work. But he doesn't want them in our prisons because they're not Americans. And so they have to leave.
At the cost of $110 million a year. You cooperate with the federal government and you say, pick these guys up.
Pick these guys up. Whose federal government? Which? The country they were from, maybe? I don't know what he's complaining about. The bad guys are in jail, dog. That's what you want. That's what you guys always want.
I've also talked to him.
Also, spending a lot of money on prison is republicanism. They love that shit. That is great for the prison industrial complex. They love that shit. Wait until the prison lobbyists hear about Mike Lindell getting rid of their customers.
I also am going to...
And he's getting woos and a lot more claps than that other lady.
Enforce employers that are employing the illegals in around the cities they're employing them, and they're cheating us out of billions, or $1.5 billion in tax a year.
The immigrants pay taxes. They pay all their income taxes. They're not paying FICA taxes, but they also don't get the benefit from the FICA taxes. They don't get the benefits of retiring. They don't get the Social Security checks at the end of their lives. So they're not cheating you out of taxes. I mean, if you shipped all those people out and the jobs went away, you still wouldn't get the taxes and you wouldn't have the jobs. I don't think this is going to work the way you want it to. Make them citizens, Mike, and they'll pay the taxes. Make them citizens. They will have to pay the taxes.
Jobs are for our legal citizens.
No, the jobs are for the legal citizens, not the other people. Make them legal citizens, Mike. It's very simple. It's a one-step process.
And then And then if you cooperate with ICE and with our government, like other cities have, you're turning them in as you get them, and they don't have to go door to door. But if they
Turning them in as you get them. He wants the police to go and chase down immigrants. He wants the police to be checking your immigration status. He wants the police to be checking the immigration of everyone they come across, whether they've committed a crime or not, and then turn them in to the feds. That's what he wants. Sounds like a fucking police state to me. Show me your papers, please.
There's another thing in Minneapolis. Minneapolis has some of the strictest protest laws in the nation. I will enforce them. You don't get to commit crimes protesting, period.
Kendall?
All protests are civil disobedience. He does not know what the word protest means. He doesn't know what it is. He doesn't know what it's for. And he will give you an authoritarian state and then punish you when you protest against it. That's republicanism. That's MAGA, baby. That's what they want. And you heard the crowd cheer there at the end. They're cheering. They're wooing. They're very excited. Woo! They're very excited about the authoritarianism and the white nationalism that they will benefit from, because it will hurt the people they don't like. It will hurt the people that they don't want in this country. It will hurt the people they hate, because that is what conservatives do. That's what they are. Let's see. What else do we have to talk about tonight? Do we have more fun stuff? More funny videos? I know how that one was hilarious. There we go. Here we go. This is a good one. This is Cornyn. He is the senator from Texas.
I was saying as recently as yesterday that he likes the idea of this fund, that he wants to find some way to pay these people. Does that concern you as someone who's tried to fight against getting this anti-weaponization fund in place?
Well, there's nothing we could do to rein in the president when he said he likes the fund and he wishes it still exists, but the fact of the matter, it's dead. And that's all we could do under these circumstances.
There's nothing we could do to rein in the president, says the senator of Texas. Jesus H. Christ, guys. Come the fuck on. He can't do anything about this president, this senator from the biggest state in the union. Can't do anything. He's just a small little guy. He's not important. He's not in part of the government. He can't save anybody. He can't do anything about the big mean president. What the fuck is wrong with you, John Cornyn? He ruined your career. He ended your career, John Cornyn. He ended your career. And you still won't stand up to him because you are a wimp. You are a wiener. You are a crybaby bitch. You have no ethics. You have no principles. You have no spine. Donald Trump ended his career. Tallarico, on the Dem side, is running against Ken Paxton right now. You've probably heard those names. Ken Paxton is running for Senate instead of John Cornyn because Donald Trump prefers Paxton, because Paxton is a larger criminal. He is more corrupt, more poisonous, more dangerous, more chaotic, more disgusting than John Cornyn, who's an old school neocon. Ken Paxton is a MAGA guy. He commits the crimes. He steals everything that isn't nailed down. He loots the Texas Treasury. He does corruption. He does sexual harassment. He does all the horrible things that Donald Trump does. And he's from Texas. So he got the thumbs up from Donnie. And so he won the primary over Cornyn. Cornyn's career is now over. He's very old, as you can tell. And he is not going to get to run again for senator for 6 more years. He'll be 6 years older by the time the next Senate thing comes around. And he'll be dead by then, I hope. I hope he is dead by then. But now he's telling you he's powerless. Oh, he can't do anything about the president. And as usual, the internet provides a really good meme we got right here. He's like, oh, help me, help, I can't. If only he could stand up. You know, he's drowning in this 2 foot deep river. He's drowning in this 2 foot deep water. Poor Cornyn. He just can't do anything to stop the president. There's nothing he can do. There's just no way he could stand up to the president. We would need, for him to do something, we would need some sort of, I don't know, like co-equal branch of government. If only we had one of those, right? If only there were some other branch of the government that had power and authority that could be equal to the executive. But we don't have those. I guess we ain't got none of that. We ain't got none of that. And the Senate ain't going to get to it. The Senate isn't going to stand up for themselves. They hate doing stuff. They hate voting for things. They just want to name post offices, vote on the name of post offices and name it after war heroes. They don't want to do any stuff. They don't want to take stands. They don't want to tell you what they believe, because then they'll get in trouble. And then they'll be in like the guy right here, and they won't be able to stand up. They can't stand for stuff, because then they won't win the next election, because somebody will complain about the thing they stood up for. Every stance pisses somebody off. It does. I suggest doing left-leaning things, and I stand for left-leaning causes, and that pisses off everybody on the right. It's just how the system works, just how the game works. And they want to not play the game. They want to win the game, but then just stand in the middle and never stand for anything and never do anything. So I've complained about that a lot. The Senate doesn't want to do stuff. They don't want to make your life better. They don't want to stand against a Donald Trump. They don't want to move anything ever. So let's see. We got other fun stuff to look at. Let's look at fun stuff. There's Dr. Oz, almost getting it, but not quite. Kind of understanding, kind of not understanding the problems here. Dr. Oz, as usual, getting kind of close to what the problem is.
Texas. I think there's a bigger problem here. And this is not fraud, waste, and abuse by itself. This is corruption on the underlying system.
Oh, my. Corruption. Wow. Dr. Oz, you've been watching my show? You've been listening to me complain about the corruption of the corporate and the government? How they collude to steal money from the American people? Is that what we're talking about?
When you corrupt the practices that rat out the foundation of the boat that we're all in together, and we start taking on water, we can start pointing fingers. But when everyone is doing it, which is maybe the most important quote from this press conference, not said by any of us up here, that's a real pathology. Because then if you're not part of the corrupt system, you're a fool.
If you're not a part of the corrupt system, you're a fool. Okay, the kids, they call this sus. They call this a self-report, okay? Let's think about it. The entire system is corrupt. The system that you're a part of, Dr. Oz. And everyone who isn't profiting from that corrupt system is a fool. So which are you? Are you profiting from the corrupt system? I think you are. Or are you saying that you are not corrupt and you are the fool? As usual, every accusation is a confession. He is talking about Medicare fraud and shit like that. And that makes sense. Great. I want somebody to go after Medicare fraud. I do. I want people to go after Medicaid fraud. But the problem, as we saw with our Florida senator a few minutes ago, Rick Scott and his gigantic Medicare fraud, the wealthy companies, the corporations are doing the fraud because our government isn't allowed to just give people shit. They're not. You have to give the government money has to go to a company, a corporation, a private-public coordination so that the company gets the money and then the company gives that benefit to the people sometimes. Not all the time, and they get to keep some of that money for profit. And there is the corruption, Dr. Oz. The corruption is that you don't just give people the motherfucking medicine they need. You don't give them the equipment they need, the medical equipment they need. Usually it comes down to medical equipment. What happens is you create a shell company. You fill out some paperwork for Medicaid, and then you tell the government you're going to give these medical equipment to 1,000 people. And then the Medicaid company, the government gives you money. Gives the company, the government gives the company money, and then they keep it. Or they lie about how many people got those services, and then they just keep the money, or they create fake business records to just keep the money. Don't, and that's your problem. There is the corruption. Yes, that's fraud, that's waste, that's abuse. Stop giving companies money. Very simple. When you go to the doctor says you need crutches, the government should give you fucking crutches, not pay a third party who then orders you some crutches and then gives them to you and keeps a part of the profit. Fuck that. That's stupid. That's inefficient. That's the public-private partnerships that your government does now. That is the reason everything is getting more expensive. That's the reason nothing gets done anymore. That's the reason road construction lasts 800 years. I want you to think about the last time you were driving around on the road. Was there construction? Has it been going on for a very, very, very long time? Have they built anything new lately? We can build motherfucking data centers overnight. Those motherfuckers pop up like weeds. We can't get bridges fixed. We can't get roads built. We can't get potholes filled. Because the public-private partnerships steal all the money and do as little work as possible. Stop giving companies government money. Stop it. Stop doing that. Don't do that anymore. If the government wants to give somebody a pair of crutches, the government builds the damn things. Oh my God. What madness, Waldo. What insanity. Hire people, make them build the crutches, and then hand them out. If the government wants people to get health care, I know they don't, but I would like them to do that, pay the doctors. You don't pay a giant mega corporation that keeps a lot of the profit, skims, and pays their CEOs billions, and then gives some of the money to the doctors. And then the doctors still have to charge the patients too. You know, that's horseshit. That's the system that you're working under right now. That's the crux of everything that I'm going to complain about tonight. And yeah, I do. I just complain about all the time. I know. I get it. You're paying your taxes. And those taxes go to these companies, and those companies still charge you. What the fuck? What are we doing here? Why are we paying the taxes? Then the government gives it to the corporations, and the corporations still charge you for shit. It's greed. It's unnatural. If you want to run a company, you should be able to stand on your own without stealing a bunch of tax dollars. And if you're doing such a shit job that the people still need whatever you've got and they're not getting it, the government should fucking give the people a cheaper option. Honestly. But that's socialism, and everybody hates it, and the right wing will scream bloody murder when they hear me say it. So we're going to complain about that. So let's actually look at this stuff. So yeah, this is Dr. Oz's area of expertise here, the Office of Inspector General. This is what he's talking about. And the Fraud Division announces charges against 19 defendants in Medicaid home health aid schemes. Which means they set up a shell company. They convinced Medicaid, who doesn't have enough public workers, to give them some money, and then they would use that money to give it to the people. Stop doing that. not the schemers, the Medicaid. Stop giving money to private companies. The Justice Department's National Fraud Enforcement Division announced a major investment in combating Medicaid fraud through a significant expansion of the division's Northeast Healthcare Fraud Strike Force to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and the Enforcement Initiative, utilizing the division's healthcare fraud section of the U.S. Attorney General's blah, 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 blah. The Healthcare Strike Force model has been proven to be one of the most powerful tools in the federal enforcement arsenal, responsible nationally for the prosecution of 6,200 defendants who collectively billed federal health care programs and private insurers more than $45 billion. So there's $45 billion in fraud. Okay. The system is broken. And he's talking about the system being corrupt. motherfucker, fix the system. Don't just chase after people. You don't chase after bad guys when you haven't locked the doors yet. Like, of course people are robbing you. You haven't done anything to protect yourself. Of course you're getting scammed. I think there was another one that I wanted to look at. Yeah, here we go. The Justice Department's National Fraud Enforcement Division, blah, 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 blah. In connection with the announcement of the Fraud Division, blah, blah, blah. 19 defendants, including owners and employees of home care companies, stop giving companies money for their alleged participation in various fraud schemes, including over $4 million in claims to Medicare and Medicaid. The Pennsylvania Attorney General, blah, blah, blah. The Fraud Division expansion into the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, Enhanced Federal Resources District, blah, blah, blah. The partnership between the Fraud Division and the Eastern District of Pennsylvania will uniquely allow law enforcement to combat criminals who hide behind corporations to commit fraud. Any dipshit can create a corporation, and then that dipshit can start putting in paperwork to Medicaid, and because we don't hire enough people to work there, because the Republicans hate government, they hate Medicaid, they do not want it to function, they do not want Medicare to function, they want it to fail, they want that shit to collapse so that they don't have to pay the taxes to upkeep it anymore. So they intentionally don't hire people, they intentionally let it get lax. And then those people don't have, then the Medicaid workers, the people who work for the government for this program, do not have the time and effort to suss out who's a criminal and who's not. Which of these corporations are real, which of them aren't. Just send it out. Worst case scenario is somebody steals your money. Best case scenario is that it's a company that gives people stuff that keeps them alive. Now that's what, and there it is. Either we lose a little bit, and a lot of people die, or we crack down and, well, no, okay. Either we lose a little bit and people live, or we crack down on the spending and people die. If you prevent Medicaid and Medicare from doing what they're supposed to do, humans die. And that's what Republicans want. They want that shit to stop. They don't want to pay for it anymore. They don't work for you. They don't listen to you. They don't like you. They don't want anything to do with you. If you are a Republican, they don't listen to you. They do not want good things for you. Dr. Oz does not want good things for you, even if you are MAGA. He wants to feed you hatred and steal from you your vote. He steals your money too. He's going to feed you hatred. He's going to steal your money, and he's going to expect your vote. That's what it is. The Republicans feed you hatred, they expect your vote, and then they steal your money. And that is the problem. The problem isn't the fact that the government is giving stuff away. Oops. The problem isn't the fact that the government is giving people health care. Because it's not. The government is not giving people health care. The government is paying companies, and the companies are bilking you. They're stealing from you. They're skimming. They're keeping the profit and giving you nothing. That is the corruption. Not government passing out money. No. The problem is the government's giving it to crooked companies, crooked corporations, criminal enterprises that are called corporations. There's your problem. Cut them out. But then, how is anybody going to make a profit? Who cares? Fuck off. Get a job. A real job. Let's look at, here we go. Yeah, Rick Scott, the $1.7 billion Medicare fraud CEO. He stole $1.7 billion from Medicare. He is now, right this minute, the senator from Florida. He is the fraud. He is the criminal. He stole your money. Nobody cares. Doesn't matter. The news won't tell you this because they also want to steal the money. They also want to create a private-public partnership with the government and take a bunch of tax money. Every company that exists right now, most companies that exist right now, maybe there's some nice ones out there, maybe there's some good people out there, maybe, but most companies in the world want to take taxpayer dollars and give you nothing. It's what crypto is, right? They take all your money and they give you nothing. They give you fake money. They give you magic internet money that isn't real. MMO companies create these fucking little skins and stuff like that, and it's worth tons of money. Companies, gotcha. Genshin Impact creates waifus, little cartoon girls, and you pay them lots of money to get them. And it's not a real thing. Every company wants to do that, and they all give you as little as possible. Companies can only be profitable these days if they maximize their profit and give you as little as possible. We are at the end stage of capitalism. We are at the end of capitalism. We're at late stage capitalism is usually what it's called. But it cannot continue from here. It can't. There will be no more money. The trickling down ain't happening. It's not happening. We're at a drought down here. You notice that things are more expensive because the companies demand more money. You notice that you have to work more because the companies demand more profit. You notice that there's fewer chips in the bag. That's because the company that puts them in the bag demands more profit for less work, for less product. That will only continue. It will continue. It can't go for much longer. There will be a reckoning. There will be a crash. There will be a catastrophe when the people can't get what they need anymore. And somebody, usually this is when the bubbles pop. This is when your your mortgage bubble, because the mortgage bubble, 2008, I know it's a long time ago. Most people were not remembering, but the mortgage bubble popped because they were all trading things that weren't real. They were trading hype between each other. They gave each other hype, and then the other guy gave them hype, and then he sold the hype for more, and then he sold the hype for more, and then he sold the hype for more. It's like NFTs. They're just nothing. He sold a monkey picture for $1, then somebody else bought it for $2, and somebody bought it for $4, and somebody bought it for $8. And then all of a sudden, nobody wants to pay any money for it. And you say, I lost $8. Well, no, motherfucker, you never had anything. You never had any $8. You didn't have it. It wasn't there. It wasn't real. Never existed. So this is the crux of the problems that we're having right now. This is the affordability crisis. This is the economic issues that we're having right now. And that brings us to the most important thing that's happened in the past couple of days, and that is the midterm election, or actually the primary. Oh my God. There was a primary just the other day. Yesterday was primary day. Let's hear what good old Donald Trump had to say about the primary. So, Donnie, let's hear what you had to say. Great news for the Republican Party. El Sayed, a communist loser who hates Jews and Israel, is the projected winner in his race with the socialist. As usual, the polls were way off on this one. She was not expected to do nearly as well as she did. Now the Democrat crazy policies will only get worse. This is wrong in so many ways. So many ways. Let's knock them all out one at a time, I suppose. Great news for the Republican Party. This is not great news for the Republican Party. The Republicans are going to suffer because El Sayed is popular and likely to win. So the Republicans, it is not good news for them. El Sayed, not a communist. At worst, he's a SOCDEM, a social, Democrat, socialist, Democrat. I think there's a difference between the two. I can always never remember which one's which, but he's slightly socialist, just a little bit, just a little bit, not a lot, but a little. Not a communist. Donnie doesn't know the difference between those two. Most people don't, and it doesn't matter anyway because they're just going to call you a communist all day long. They would call me a communist even though I'm not. He's a loser who hates Jews, but he just won. projected win. Boss, it's the same sentence. A communist loser is the projected winner. Donnie, listen. He won. You even admitted that he's the winner of the race. So he can't be a loser if he's the winner. All right. Anywho, let's continue. Who hates Jews? He doesn't hate Jews. Who hates Israel? He doesn't hate Israel. He's just upset that they keep stealing all our money and doing crimes with it. And I'm upset about that too. Most people are upset about that, Donnie. You don't know it, Trump, because you don't live in reality and you surrounded yourself with yes men who kiss your ass all day long. But most of the people in the country don't like the fact that we give billions of dollars to Israel and then they murder and do genocide. We don't like that. We would rather not do that. But you don't know that. So let's see what else is wrong with this. He's wrong on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things in just those first 2 sentences. He's wrong 3 times in each sentence. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing. You can't pack more wrong into a sentence than the way Donald Trump does. You can't. It's impossible. Nobody else can do it. Nobody can do it like him. And then he continues with his race with the projected winner in the race with the socialist. So he's calling Haley Stevens a socialist? Motherfucker, that is ridiculously untrue. Like, even for you, that's a fucking whopper. Even for Donnie, that's a big fat lie. There's not even any hint of socialism in Haley Stevens. None. 0. She is 100% a corporatist. Not even a little bit socialist. As usual, the polls were way off on this one. The polls were off on this one. So, okay, he's got that right, but not in the way that he thought it would be. He probably thinks that Haley Stevens was going to win. He thinks that Haley Stevens was going to win. The polls said that Syed was like 10 points up. He only ended up being 1 point up, which is made it a nail biter. But the polls are wrong in a way that is opposite of the way that he thought they were wrong. It's insane. Again, so bad sentence again. She was not expected to do nearly as well as she did. Now the Democrat crazy policies will only get worse. No, they're only going to get better, boss. Like, he's wrong so hard. It's amazing. Do you think he's born this way, or did he have to practice? I assume that it's a practice kind of a thing, right? He had to like try to be this bad. You can't just do that naturally. You'd have to like try and do that. You'd have to attempt to be that bad and stupid and shit. So let's look at Haley Stevens. Okay, here is the competition. This is Haley Stevens. She was running for the Senate in Michigan.
We are still waiting on results, and we might not know.
We know now that she lost.
The results until early in the morning, maybe even later tomorrow. We are still waiting on results from Detroit.
She points to a black person because she does id poll. That's all she does.
Keith Williams in the House, the chair of the Michigan Democratic Party Black Caucus. And Keith knows we're also still waiting on results from Flint.
That's a place.
Muskegon County.
That's a place. Yay.
Macomb County.
That's a place. Yay.
But friends, I am feeling good about
She lost.
this race.
She lost.
I am feeling fired up. And you should be too.
She lost.
But I want to talk about the stakes of this race a minute. We've had a long, hard-fought primary, and we'll know soon who our nominee is going to be. And whoever wins is going to go and take on Mike Rogers. Republicans are going to do everything they can to throw all the dirt, all the mud, the kitchen sink at us, because They want to keep the U.S. Senate red.
Okay, this is a woke stream. All right, guys, listen. You're not allowed to suggest that she speaks with some sort of stroke-induced lisp. When she talks about the keeping the Senate red, they're going to, you can't, okay, I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to allow you to insult her or suggest that she talks like Bobby Hill.
So Mike Rogers can keep rubber stamping Donald Trump's ridiculous agenda.
I'm just kidding. I'm a dirtbag. Make fun of her all you want. You should insult her. She's a corporate dem. She doesn't talk about policy. She just does id poll all day long. Identity politics nonstop, never ending. She doesn't have a plan to make your life better. She's not going to pass any laws. She's not going to pass any bills that make your life better. No. She's going to give more money to the corporations. That's what she's there for. That's what she's doing. And the way she gets elected is by pointing at the black guy and saying, hey, you're a Democrat. I'm a Democrat. You have to vote for me. That's how she gets elected. That's why she's so excited about Detroit. And the guy who was the head of the Black Caucus or something like that. Let's read about this. It wasn't a blowout, but El Sayed won. Get behind him, Democrats. I hope they do. That would be nice. It's an earthquake to have Bernie Sanders' candidate defeat Gretchen Whitmer's candidate in Michigan, but the real goal is to keep Donald Trump's candidate from winning a seat. And so that's why I named this stream the way I did. The war begins now. This guy with a funny name and a foreign-sounding name and a background is going to have to beat a Republican who is going to nonstop suggest that he is a terrorist. That's what's going to happen. They're going to call him Donnie already did it. I mean, Trump called him a fucking communist who hates Jews in Israel. You know, he's calling him a terrorist. Coming into election day, Abdul El Sayed victory in Michigan's Democratic Senate primary was widely expected. A blowout seemed possible. Instead, the victory margin was likely less than 2 percentage points. But his triumph over Representative Haley Stevens, while far narrower than polls were predicting, is still a monumental event in both Democrat and national politics. It sets up a major test for both the progressive and center-left wings of the party over the next 3 months. And this is why it's a big deal. That's why I'm paying attention to Michigan, even though I'm not from there. And you should pay attention to what happens here, even if you aren't from there as well. He is left of center. He's further left than Hillary. He's further left than Kamala. He's supporting things like Medicare for all. And he's going to vote to make those things happen. As opposed to Haley Stevens, who would, she would vote against Donald Trump. But she wouldn't vote for left-leaning things. You know, she's just a status quo person. Keep everything exactly still right now. She's going to do in the Senate what all the other senators are doing. Stand completely still. She won't take a stand for anything. She won't take a hard line on anything positively. She'll just do nothing. And that's why it's good to have people who want to do stuff win instead. Let's keep reading. Wrong button. El Sayed did not deliver a resounding defeat to Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, and the other parts of the center-left Democratic establishment who backed Stevens, as his supporters hoped. And that's true. I wanted him to win by 10 fucking points, so that these fuckers would fuck off. Chuck Schumer doesn't want to do anything. He's a status quo guy. Gretchen Whitmer is mediocre milquetoast, and AIPAC is a fucking Republican operation. Honestly, swear to God. The election return suggests that El Sayed struggled with rural voters, in particular looking forward to the general election. That data has to worry Democrats who tend to lose elections to Republicans because they are blown out in small towns. Because the small towns are filled with fucking yokels who don't know anything. They don't know that the Democrats are a better choice. They don't know that socialism will improve their lives. They have been poisoned by right-wing media because the right-wing media owns all media is right-wing media, honestly. That said, stepping back from last few weeks, when El Sayed's victory seemed certain, this is still a huge win for progressives and a major defeat for the center-left AIPAC. They spent more than $30 million to boost Stevens, a massive outlay for a Senate primary. Whitmer and many other prominent Michigan Democrats officials implored the state's Democrats to back Stevens. So AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, gave $30 million to this lady to win the primary because they don't like El Sayed. They want her to win because she would do nothing. You see, they want people to do nothing. They like a Congress that does nothing. They like Chuck Schumer doing fucking nothing. They love that shit. That means they know what tomorrow is going to be. If tomorrow you have a plan to change things, AIPAC gets upset. They don't know how the change will affect them. They can guess. They can try and figure out how the change is going to affect them positively or negatively and what they need to do, but then they would have to do shit. And they don't want to do shit either. Nobody wants to do shit. So they don't want things to change. Change is scary, and they need to bet on tomorrow rather than today. There's a puppy dog licking my toes. Let's bring him up on screen. I'm going to do it. Let's do it. Bubble break. It's Bobo, the baby bark boy. Hello, Bo. How are you? You excited tonight? Yeah? You hot? Yeah, you're hot. You stink like a hot, sweaty dog because it's 85 degrees out here, I think. Maybe it's down to 84. Yeah, you're warm, aren't you? But you'll be all right. We had pizza for dinner, and he brought me a pizza crust. We gave him a pizza crust, and he brought it to me. It's under my desk right now because that's what he does. I don't know why. Because he brings me the bones, he brings me the pizza crusts, he brings me his food and puts it under my desk. Why do that, Bo? Am I keeping it safe for you from the other dog? He's hiding it from the other doggy because he knows the other doggy doesn't come up here all that often. Anyway, that's Bobo. Let's keep reading. Yeah, AIPAC gave $30 million. That's a record. That's a huge amount for a primary because they are a Republican organization. They do not want left-leaning people to win, so they pay the centrists to run. They pay the right wing to run. Some misinformed poor bastards see this number and thought, oh man, El Sayed's going to get $30 million to run against a Republican. No. AIPAC's money will now go to the Republican Party instead of El Sayed. Instead of Haley Stevens, they will now shift all of their money to the Republicans, who will then give more money back to Israel to bomb and kill people. Because that's what they want. Let's see, where did I leave off? Well, let's keep reading. The center left in both Michigan and nationally leaned into the case it regularly uses to defeat progressive candidates. Electability. It's an important word. Stevens, centrists claimed, would have a better chance of winning in the general election than El Sayed. That argument didn't fully resonate in Michigan, the swingiest of swing states, a huge setback for the center left. If El Sayed wins in November, that electability case against progressives will be even more weakened, perhaps easing the path to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as the party's 2028 nominee. What is electability? You're going to hear this word a lot. You're going to hear this word a lot if you pay attention to politics. You've already heard it a lot. You heard it 1,000 times while Biden was running. You heard it 1,000 times when Obama was running. Electability. Electability is a code word for donor approved. Haley Stevens was donor approved. She had electability. She got $60 million in corporate donations, $30 million of it from AIPAC, because she was an ally to Capitol. If elected, she would vote in a partisan manner against Donald Trump. Yes, But that is why she is still preferable, in my opinion, when we vote blue no matter who. Is she preferable to a Republican? Yes. Would I vote for her over a Republican? Yes. Because she is still a centrist. A centrist is still further left than the right.
You got an imposter in your Pokemon ranks.
Do I? Back here? You think so? Who, this guy? No, this is a Pokemon.
Yoshi is not a Pokemon.
This is a Pokemon. I'm entirely sure. This is a Pokemon. No, I think this is. You're talking about this guy. This guy is also, he's a Pokemon trainer, I think. I think he's a Pokemon trainer. Yeah. Hi, how you doing? Yeah, I know. It's this is my summer setup over here. When the sun comes out and when it's hot, I put all my lovely green people out here. Yeah. So yeah, if elected, yes, Haley Stevens would still be a partisan Democrat vote, and that's better than a Republican, obviously. But she would not stand against the capitalist machine. No. She would not push for left-leaning solutions. At best, she would be voting for more of the public-private partnerships that I've been complaining about all damn night. Giving your tax dollars to gigantic corporations that will spend some of it on services for you. Not all of it, of course. They're going to have to make a gigantic obscene profit, but some of it might make its way to you. So a little bit. That's the purpose of centrist Democrats. That's why they exist. That's why they're here. They aren't running to hold everything together. They're not running to be a halfway point between fascism and communism. They're running to give money to corporations. They have a terrible plan, and the people hate it. That's why they lose so often to dipshit, insane, fucking crazy-ass Republicans. If you spell out the centrist corporate Dem plan, nobody likes it. So I'm going to do that. Step 1, tax the people. Very simple, easy step. Has to happen. Everybody does it. Step 2, give billions of those tax dollars to the private companies. Very easy. They're doing that now. Step 3, ask those private companies politely, nicely, don't force them, don't pass any laws or anything, but just ask them to give millions in benefits to the people. And that's not a typo. I'm not misspeaking here. We give the companies billions with a B, billions, and they give us millions with an M. This happens everywhere. The government spends money. Healthcare, road construction, police, homeless measures, college grants, and especially in the military-industrial complex. That's why we ran out of missiles for the Iran war. You've been hearing about that, right? How that missiles, and we ran out of missiles for the Iran war. That's because we have given the defense companies billions of taxpayer dollars and gotten millions of dollars worth of missiles. Where's the rest of the money go? They keep it. They put it in their pocket. They pay their employees a little bit, and then they pay their CEOs a lot. They give their CEOs big fat bonuses for getting more and more of these contracts. They buy back their own stocks and make the market price go up so that their parasitic investors can also make more money. They gamble with it on shell companies, mergers, and AI horse shit. They create hype with ads and to get new investors on board. And oftentimes, they also sell you the product. So you pay the tax, then you pay again to get the service. This is probably worst in the medical and education sectors. Imagine I'm paying taxes. Taxes go to the colleges. But if I want to send my kid to college, I also have to pay for that. What the fuck? Why? Profit margin. That's why. Profit margin. everything must turn a profit. You're not allowed to, the government isn't allowed to do stuff. They must have a corporate partnership so that the company can make money from your taxes. They do all of that shit instead of giving the people what they paid for. But I hear your complaints now. But Waldo, wouldn't the government representatives get mad at the corporations for wasting the money that the government gave them? No, because step 4 in this process is that the corpos give some of the money to the politicians to run their campaigns. Haley Stevens got $30 million from AIPAC to run her campaign. Where did AIPAC get that money? Donations from wealthy Republican businessmen. And where did those wealthy Republican businessmen get their money? From step 2 in this process, which was give billions to private companies. Give tax money to private companies. That's where they got that money. And the cycle continues and over and over and over again. There is a giant swirling money economy above your head that you have fucking nothing to do with. You donate into it, but do you get anything from it? Rarely. The trickling down ain't trickling. The trickles are fewer and farther between. They don't call them trickles up at the top. They call them leaks, and they patch them up so that less gets so that less trickles down. They call it efficiency. You pay your taxes. The taxes go to a company, and then the company charges you for their service anyway. And keeps the profit from both. And offers you as little as possible. And then they put fewer chips in the bag. And then they demand more and more money for sending your kids to college. And they demand you pay a copay. So that all of them can make more money. More profit, more profit, more profit. More shareholder value. And then that steps continues over and over and over and over and over again. And if you suggest that this is a bad system, if you point these problems out, if you suggest that this is inefficient, you're a communist, baby. Oh my God. You're a communist. You are anti-capitalism. You are the problem. You are a dirty, filthy socialist, communist monster, best friends with Mao. You love Lenin, and you worship at the altar of Marx, and you killed 1 billion Chinese people. Therefore, you are unelectable. Let's watch some Dems completely miss the point here. Let's watch some Dems miss all of the important points and hold water for the system. Here we go. Let's watch MSNBC. How about that?
For being with us. And Steph, you've got a brand new piece out on ms.now.
I put it on 1.5 speed because I usually watch things at 1.5 speed. I don't know if you've noticed it, but I do tend to talk fast. That's because I think faster than I can talk. And that's where most of my flubs come from, is I always have to slow my brain down, slow down, and then talk. And it throws me off quite a bit. I read twice as fast as I can talk. I read so much faster than I can actually speak. My stupid mouth doesn't work as fast as my eyes and my brain. And so that's why I'm flubbing all the lines. That's why I have to restate things. That's why I say things and then restate them. It's because I am not functional. And so I often watch YouTube videos at 1.5 speed so that I can, so that it matches what I'm thinking. But we're going to put it back down to normal speed for our stream.
Arguing that the fierce primary battles we're seeing play out across the country between the Democratic establishment and the outsider Democratic Socialists of America all come down to one thing, no matter what state we're looking at, including Michigan. And that one thing, the economy.
100%.
Affordability.
Right? This election, Donald Trump's failing poll numbers are about the economy, right? When you're seeing voters.
He's a giant super liar who's got us into a foreign war, which is like the one thing he said he wouldn't do. And he's a pedophile, you know, he's best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. But affordability is the only thing that the Democrats are allowed to say. It's the only thing they're allowed to talk about.
push back against establishment Democrats. It's about the economy. This idea that, oh, no, voters want these radical ideas like defund the police. It's not about they want defund the police. They want to fund their basic lives.
They would like ICE to stop killing innocent people. She's not allowed to say the things that El Sayed wants. She's not allowed to say the things that he's campaigning on. She's not allowed. But she would lose her job if she pushed El Sayed's ideas, if she talked about how they were good ideas, if she talked about Medicare for all, if she talked about government doing the things instead of paying a company to do the things. She would lose her job. So she's not allowed to talk about it. So they have to talk about affordability. It's the gas in the tank. It's the economy, stupid. She refuses to try to fix the system. She knows it's broken.
They want to be able to put gas in their car and go to the grocery store and actually get a leg up. And what's interesting is, assuming El Sayed is the nominee, we know that we are now going to see this Republican war chest of money flood to the state of Michigan. Call this man a communist. Say the DSA is ready to take capitalism away. But here's the challenge. What happens when they go to campaign? Because what this man is actually campaigning on is affordability and accountability. At the same time that
yes, affordability is there, but he's pointing at the actual cause, and you won't, because you're a wiener, you're a wimp, Stephanie Rule. You won't talk about the actual cause of this problem, which is corporations, gigantic billion-dollar corporations taking government money for greed so that they can pay the parasite investors. The investor class is stealing all the blood from the economy. They're stealing everything they can. All the money has to go to the investors, and if it doesn't, it's illegal.
Donald Trump is saying you should give me an A+ for the economy, when the majority of the American people who are not invested in the stock market, which is booming, are saying, hold on a minute, the war in Iran has made my life cost.
She knows the reason. She just said it. The normal people aren't on the stock market. The stock market is booming. That's a different way of saying what Waldo just said. The investors are parasites. They have sucked all the blood out of the corpse. The dog that now has ticks is more tick than dog, and he has no blood left. He's dead. The ticks have sucked all the blood out of our economy. She just said it. But she's not allowed to put it in those words, because then it might hurt the investors in this TV program, in this television news station, which has to run a profit.
More money. The trade war has made my life cost more money, and mass deportation has made my life cost more money. So what's going to be really interesting is they're going to paint El Sayed in this certain way, and they're going to.
Those things are also unfair and unacceptable and wrong. They're morally wrong, but she's not allowed to talk about the morals. She's not allowed to tell you that building a concentration camp for immigrants is morally incorrect. She's not allowed to say that. She must connect it to money, because capitalism is running amok in our country. Capitalism is the only force that exists anymore. There is no other force. There is nothing else in this country except for economy, except for capitalism. There's nothing else. There is nothing. There is nothing that is not touched and corrupted by capitalism. And she's telling you that. The ICE is a moral outrage as well, but she doesn't give a shit about morals. She just gives a shit that ICE is costing you money. If ICE was making you money, she would be on board for it.
Use the DSA as this boogeyman, when at the end of the day, the majority of the American people don't like any politicians. They're sick of the whole system, and they're simply saying, this system doesn't work for me. It hasn't worked for me in the last 4 years, 8 years, 10 years, and I want something different. So the answer is going to be, who can make the best argument to say, I see you, I feel you, let's address affordability, which is how Donald Trump was elected in 2016, but just did never address it.
Right. And every electorate's different, of course, but we've seen this playbook work. The progressive candidate uses the word affordability every third word. That was Zoran Mamdani.
Oh, no. The the left uses the word affordability every third word. That sounds like a fucking dem to me.
That's why it worked here in New York City. El Sayed, certainly we had him on our ear just a short time ago, hit that over and over, Rev. The idea that we got to get big money out of politics, but we also have to make life more affordable for those who live here in Michigan. He kept returning to that. So give us your sense here, because Steph's right. The attacks are coming. Is he going to be able, assuming he is the nominee, escape them?
I think the affordability is absolutely the issue.
Hello, guys.
But I think where they're missing in some of the progressive leaders, and I've talked about that, is there is also inequality in affordability.
Inequality in affordability. Hi, Bisky. How you doing? Thanks for coming. Thanks for saying hi. Al Sharpton. He's going to say something racialist.
And I think when you see this race in Michigan, that's a cliffhanger. I think he'll pull out. And the fact is, where his weaker vote came is in black communities, because they're not talking about race. The progressive
black communities, of course. Al Sharpton's not a racist. He's a racialist. What does that mean? That means that he only cares about issues and how they affect specific races, specifically for him, the black votes. Al Sharpton has never talked about anything without pivoting the conversation on how it affects black Democrat votes. El Sayed wins. How does that affect the black Democrat vote? Latest Star Wars movie just released. How does that affect the black Democrat vote? New Pop-Tart flavor. How does that affect the black Democrat vote? That's the only thing that he's ever talked about ever his entire life. And of course, since we're watching a bunch of Dems, they must do id poll. They must talk about identity politics based on race. Haley Stevens did this too when she ran she ran to Detroit and then ran to every single black person she could find in Michigan and then reminded them that she worked for Barack Obama. Okay? You have to vote for her. She worked for Obama. You have to vote for her. What are her policies? Doesn't fucking matter. She doesn't talk about policy. She doesn't talk about ideas for the future. She doesn't talk about what she's going to pass. No, she worked for Obama, and that means you owe her a vote. There was even a claim, I never saw any photos, I went looking for them, that she was using a cardboard cutout of Barack Obama. And sometimes the camera would catch her and then this cardboard cutout of Barack Obama in the background. And that was the trick. It was a photo trick to make you think subconsciously that he's standing behind her and helping her out. And none of that was the case. He never endorsed her, and in fact, never endorses anybody anymore. But she ran campaign commercials and stuff like that where he spoke about her and her work and her name from 10 years ago. And then that made it seem like he was on her team, which he never was. So let's never ending racial politics, never ending.
The progressive movement has seemed white at the top. So you're not energizing people who have the most affordability problems, because there's a race gap even in those that are at the lower tier. And other than...
Maybe you should tell them that Democrat socialists would be good for them. Maybe you should tell the people that you're talking about to vote for El Sayed. Have you thought of that? Have you tried that?
And Ocasio-Cortez, I haven't seen a lot of the progressive leaders reach out to the black community. I think Mondani has tried to do that well here. Look at what happened with Cori Bush in St. Louis. She lost with Bernie Sanders and them going in there. So I think that what the progressives have to do is not look like the new guard that is really exclusionary. They've got to talk about affordability as well as the race gap. Black unemployment is almost double that of white unemployment at any level. And you must make that if you're going to energize the black base. I think El Sayed will pull out, but I think the note to him is it wouldn't have been this close if you had more solid black support.
You also need...
He's reinforcing the idea that all black people voted with one vote. All black people have one vote. It's so weird.
to be a world-class political athlete, if they're actually going to take this lane, that they want to take money out of politics, there's tons of voters that would say, yes, I want big dollars out of politics. But here's the thing. That's not how the system currently works, right?
That's not how the system... Are you going to fix that? Are you going to help? Maybe you should tell the people that big money in politics is a problem. Maybe you on the television could use some kind of mass messaging system. I don't know, able to send messages out to millions of people where they could possibly understand that this is a problem. But you're not going to do that. You're going to say affordability, affordability, affordability again and again while ignoring the reason for the affordability problem, which is gigantic mega corporations stealing all the damn money.
Right? Citizens United was overturned 16 years ago. We just saw the Supreme Court's most recent decision only helps put big money into politics. And so I don't understand, unless you are a true Mamdani-style politician who can really reach and touch the people and get that retail politics working, I don't know how you can take the money out of politics and win in a game when there is going to be more money than ever in these elections, because rich people have gotten enormously rich in the last 2 years. They have direct influence over our politicians like they never have before, and they're going to be putting huge money in these races. Look no further than Thomas Massie in Kentucky when he lost, when the biggest donations against him were from people who have never set foot in the state of Kentucky, nor will they ever.
You're going to have to do something about that. We're bitching about it. We're complaining about it. The people are saying, please stop this. And the news is not covering you, not covering the left. The news is insulting the left. The news is shitting on them as often as they can. And not letting them on the TV, not giving them the airwaves, not letting them explain themselves, and taking a Republican framing. Honestly, these people take Republican framing. I know it's insane. It's hard to think about, but like if you start with Al Sayed's a communist, prove you're not a communist. If you bring him onto your TV show and you say, prove you're not a communist, you're taking Republican framing, you see. If you start, as I often do, and I know, I'm sorry, with what Donald Trump says, and then try and prove it wrong, you're using their framing. They get to do the framing because it's short, simple, and pithy and easy. But you, news people, where did the news people go? Should use the TV to tell the people the truth. That's what I'm doing, and nobody's paying me for it. You could do the same. Maybe Stephanie Rule should start a fucking podcast where she tells people the real problem, the actual source of this affordability crisis, the source of all these issues, the source of all this corporatist money, which is, as I said before, corporate private public partnerships. The government gives money to the company keeps most of it, hires a few people, does as little work as possible, and then fucks off, and then pays money to the government, to the representatives, who then vote for more money for these corporations. The corporations get the money, and then they give some of it to the representative, who then votes for more money to the corporations. It just never ends. Around and around and around and around in a circle forever. There is your affordability crisis. That's why we have gigantic Dow over 50,000 and the people can't afford enough food. That's why the people are complaining about gas prices. Not because they're high, but because they don't benefit from the real economy, which is so far above our fucking heads. Billions go to the corporations and they keep it. Some of it trickles down. The rest goes towards improving their stock price on the Dow and paying fucking politicians who will vote to give more tax dollars to that corporation. It doesn't end. It never ends. It just keeps, all the money goes up and it gets stuck up. And then when it does come down, well, no, it doesn't. If it trickles at all, they don't like it. They hate trickling. They call it a leak and they get rid of it. Let's finish this video.
In Kentucky, when he lost, when the biggest donations against him were from people who have never set foot in the state of Kentucky, nor will they ever.
And I'll say it certainly tapped into, Mara, this anger against the money in politics. But we were talking about it earlier. This is a particularly bruising primary fight. And I do think that the work is going to start with him, that he, assuming he is the nominee, he's going to have a little more of an inclusive message to fellow Democrats. He's going to have...
He has to come to the middle, you see? Al Sayed, who just won, has to come to the middle to get the people.
There's clearly some hurt feelings here, and he's going to have to try.
Because he told them that they're fucking criminals, that they shouldn't be taking all this damn money.
Work with those who didn't vote for him to say, look, we've got to come together. Otherwise, we're giving Republicans a very winnable Senate seat.
Yeah, I'm going to return to Mamdani, the mayor of New York here, because what he did after he won a bruising primary battle here is went on a massive charm offensive. And that, assuming...
This is shocking to them. He won a primary. He won an election. And then he did stuff for the people. He did the things that he said he was going to do. This is shocking. This is unheard of within American politics. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody expected this. He won. Then he did the thing that he promised to do. They've never seen this before. This is new. This is untrod ground. This is fresh snow. Nobody's ever walked this path before.
Al Sayed is the nominee. That's exactly what he needs to do. And not just a charm offensive, but he needs to spend time with voters who disagree with him. He needs to spend time with Jewish voters. He needs to spend time with black voters, particularly in...
More id poll, more identity politics, stand next to a Jewish person. That's her suggestion. Don't do anything for them. Don't give them any government benefits. Don't help them in their lives. Just stand next to them so that the people who operate off vibes will feel more happier, better vibes.
Detroit, but elsewhere in the state. And some of that is honestly just going to be a case of getting to know him and getting to know someone. Other people he may not be able to convince, and that's okay. But he's got to bring this coalition together. The establishment Democrats are going to have to help him, including the governor of Michigan and also the former governor of Michigan, Jennifer Granholm, who's also played a role in this race, both very popular.
Nothing.
The establishment should have a little bit of humility here, because not only does it look like they lost this race, but they have struggled to actually win races with moderate establishment candidates against Republicans. So there's an element of, we assume that it's going to be harder for El Sayed to win in a general election. But I think we should question those assumptions, because voters, when you talk to voters, which I've done a lot of in the South, in Michigan, they are looking for fighters. That is true of independents, too. That's true of people who have gotten tired of Donald Trump and are looking for an alternative. So in some ways, El Sayed's constant criticism of the Democratic establishment is going to have a much broader audience than people think. And I just wanted to...
She just said nothing for like 5 whole minutes.
To your point, Stephanie, about affordability, the difference for the progressive...
Affordability again.
Fighters that have been successful, the most successful at every level so far in this country, in this cycle, is that the progressives are naming a villain. So they're not just talking about affordability like the establishment Democrats are.
Ooh, okay. Shots fired. She did I like what she's saying there. He's actually pointing at the problem. He's named a villain, not just broadly affordability.
They are saying this is a top-down fight because we're the little guy, you're the little guy, and the villain is corporate America. The villain...
Yes, thank you. So she's finally got something to say. Great, thank you. The corporate money going toward the corporations from the government is the problem.
is Donald Trump and corruption.
Okay, but there is a counterpoint that when we keep saying that like the establishment aren't fighters.
Of course, she has a counterpoint to the thing that is true and correct. She has to fight against that.
You can't tell me that Cory Booker and Sheldon Whitehouse and Adam Schiff weren't fighting when they were watching that Todd Blanche confirmation hearing yesterday. The problem is they're not in power, and
they only fight when they're not in power. They only fight when they're not in charge. Yes, Cory Booker took a historic stand and stood on the Senate floor for 24 hours. He stood there and talked about how bad the Republican spending bill was going to be. And he set the record for standing there. And then it passed the minute he left. And then that same day, he released his book that had been written months ahead of time called Stand, about his record-breaking 24-hour stand. He did nothing. He accomplished nothing. He got a new record. It's amazing. And all the libs went nutso about it for a fucking week. And it accomplished fucking nothing. They only take a stand. They only fight when they know they can't win. If actual leftism, the DSA types and the people in the DSA all got this huge sweep, and it's a DSA win, left and right, Cory Booker would stand against them. Because he doesn't want the left to win. He doesn't want the right to win. He wants the center to hold for eternity. Cory Booker, Adam Schiff, yes, great. They're better than Republicans, but they're not better than DSA. Left-leaning options are the future. They are the future we ought to be working towards. The right-leaning options are the past. And the people she mentioned in the center are standing completely still. They are standing in your way of either of those things, honestly. I'm glad Cory Booker stands against us going backward, but it pisses me off when he stands against us going forward. Stop doing that. That was the end of that video. What other things do we have to look at? What else we got? Oh, here's good old Jan Stans Vance, if that is his real name, talking about El Sayed. Let's hear that.
In case you missed any of that, he said that the Democratic Party wants people who hate the idea of even private property ownership. It's very popular in places you wouldn't expect. Speaking of Michigan, he said you hold yourself out as a working class hero who's going to fight for the working class by flooding your state with low-wage immigrants.
Just making shit up. That's fantastic. Just make some shit up. Who cares?
The response.
Is that Peter Thiel's boy with that Ohio charisma he's got? That guy. I think we've had enough of him. The last thing that he said that made any sense was hillbilly elegy, after he said that Donald Trump had no business being president of anything. That was the last time he made sense, and then he decided to suck up to power. But that's exactly what this is about. You've got Republicans who'll do anything for power and money, including corrupt their office, just like Mike Rogers has. For the 14 years he was serving in Congress, he took over $1 million from the pharmaceutical industry. He voted 19 times to raise prescription drug prices. And then he helped to architect the legislation that kicked off the opioid epidemic, killing nearly 600,000 people. Why? For money and power. But that's what that party's about. We're trying to get money out of politics to put money in your pocket past Medicare for All, which of course are things that people like Ohio J.D. Vance and Mike Rogers have no clue about, because they've always been in it for themselves rather than for the public.
Medicare for All will not make a lot of money for a lot of businesses. This is why they're against it. They don't care about you or your health care or the amount of money that you have to waste on it. They don't care that shitloads of money goes from the taxpayers to the government and then to these insurance companies, and then the insurance companies still charge you. And then you have to pay the hospital too. They love that shit. They love that system. And El Sayed might stand against that system. He might prevent that from happening in the future. That is the fight that we're having. That is the problem that we have, is the right is captured by money and hatred. The center is captured by money. And the left is unable to get on TV. They're unable to get a foothold. We've slightly gotten a foothold lately because Donald Trump is such a terrible fucking human being that the people who stand against him rise to the top. People who come out against him swinging get slightly famous and get important airtime sometimes. And the people are demanding that the Democrats do something. And the only Democrats who do stuff are the DSA types, are the people on the left. The the centrist Democrats don't do things. The people are demanding stuff. The people are demanding action. The center doesn't do anything. They stand still. That's their job. That's their entire point of being, is standing completely still. Hold all day long. What else did I want to look at? Was there something else that I was thinking of? Okay, so yeah, how is the right dealing with all this? How is the right wing going to look at this and pay attention to these things? They have already started their campaign against him by calling him a communist, by calling him a socialist, by calling him a radical Islamic jihad terrorist. They're anti-Israel, Jew, anti-everything, anti-black, every name they can come up with. We have to have the media do its job and portray him fairly, which they won't, because most of the media is paid for by right-wing billionaires, and even the little bit of media that isn't paid by right-wing billionaires is still a corporate entity. They still have to run a profit. They still have to sell soda ads. They still have to sell medication ads. I haven't watched MS Now on TV in a very long time, but I have no doubt that if I turned it on right now, we would see corporate slop being pushed by a centrist Democrat who used to be a Republican, and then a lot of ads for medicine that I don't need, or cars, or soda. Shit you don't want, shit you don't need. Because that's how they make their money. The ad people give them money to run that ad, and then they pay their workers, and they keep as much of it as they possibly can and give you as little as possible, as usual within capitalism. So then, where was I going with this? What is the right saying about it? They're calling him names. They're doing all this stuff. They are also fighting about affordability, because he's bringing up ideas that they can't argue with. Let's see. Ba-bam. So Matt Walsh, the Nazi, said, grocery prices are insane. They are still rising. Addressing this problem should be the number one priority of every elected leader. End the stupid foreign wars and focus on this issue. It's one of the main reasons socialists are gaining power. Now, he's not entirely wrong here. Is he a Nazi? Yes. Is he a white nationalist? Yes. Is he a misogynist, disgusting piece of shit? Yes. But grocery prices are high. He knows this because he listens to the poor people who pay him money to listen to his talking points. Addressing this problem should be the number one priority of every elected leader. He's talking to Trump. He's talking to the Republicans. He's saying, listen, you dumb sons of bitches, make the bread cheaper, make the circuses more affordable, or else the socialists are going to come in and win. And he's right. That is what's going to happen. Andrew Colvett, I don't know who the fuck that is, but he's got a blue check on Twitter. He's probably a Nazi. One of our TPUSA college students gave me his take on affordability. A burrito shouldn't cost $20. That makes sense. A burrito shouldn't cost $20. Yeah, a lot of this is hangover from COVID and Biden era inflation. Motherfucker, it's going to be 2050. I'm going to be still streaming. I'm going to have 800 subscribers by then, as opposed to the 400 I have now. I gain about 100 a year. So someday I'll get monetized, but not any day soon. Anywho, it's going to be 2050, and they're still going to be blaming Biden era inflation for everything they do wrong. But the lived experience is just the same. It just feels like basic things cost too much. That's what Andrew Colvett is saying. Basic things cost too much, and he blames the government and a virus rather than the actual culprits, the stock market and the parasite investor class. The investor class are parasites. They are sucking all the blood out of our economy and making everything more expensive while they keep the profit. They're the problem. But he's not allowed to say that because he's a conservative. He probably doesn't even know it. He just either believes that it's COVID and Biden that caused prices to go up, or he's a grifter and needs you to believe that COVID and Biden caused prices to go up. Let's see who replied to him. Joel Berry, also a blue check on Twitter, probably a Nazi. Last night, my wife made homemade burritos for our family of 8, and it cost less than $20 total for everyone. So he is definitely a Nazi. He has a family of 8. He is a Nazi. I'm beginning to think the affordability crisis is really an I don't know how to cook crisis. Sorry. Motorcycle outside. That makes the dog boys bark. You barking at the motorcycle? Okay. I'm beginning to think the affordability crisis is really an I don't know how to cook crisis. Joel, the guys in college, the college student, doesn't have a wife, doesn't have a family of 8, probably doesn't have a kitchen. He's probably living in some sort of dorm, and if he's lucky, if they allow him to have a hot plate, he can have a hot plate. If not, he doesn't get a hot plate. So he can't shop at Costco and make burritos for 8 people for $20. Doesn't have that choice. And then, let's see. Mark Thiessen, blue check on Twitter, probably a Nazi, said, Crimea River, the burritos in the college cafeteria are included on your meal plan. One, that's if you have the fucking meal plan. And even if you do, the meal plan costs fucking money somewhere to someone. Entirely possible that the meal plan is tacked onto your fucking tuition, which is tacked onto the hundreds of thousands of dollars that you have to go into debt to get a college degree so that you can get a job to pay off the hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. I don't know what point he's trying to make here other than he's a well-to-do piece of shit who shouldn't be commenting on what poor people have to go through. And then J.D. Vance says, I'm surprised to hear Mark say this. If you've ever met him in person, it's quite obvious the man has never missed a burrito. This is funny. This is good shit. Way to go, J.D. Vance. Nice zinger at Mark Thiessen, whoever the hell he is. He's probably fat and a Nazi. But the right is fighting each other over how best to deal with El Sayed. They don't know. They don't know yet. They're not sure how to deal with this. They don't know how to defeat him. They don't know how to argue with him. They don't know what they should do to fight against him. And what that's going to lead to, if we're lucky, is anti-Trump conservative Tucker Carlson, MTG, and Massey huddle about launching a third-party movement. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. This is great news. This is fantastic. There's a lot more nuts and bolts to work out, but what needs to be done is there, said former National Security official Joe Kent, also a piece of shit. President Donald Trump's most vocal opponents on the right were sowing the seeds of a future third-party political organization during a weekend getaway aimed at undercutting the Republican establishment. Yes, Tucker, baby. I've said some mean things about you in the past, about how you're a white nationalist and you should fuck yourself. And MTG, I've said a lot of mean things about you. Someone must have fucked your brains back in. Massey, also decent guy. He's still just inches away from being a normal human being. If he could just, learn a thing or three, he would become a leftist. I swear to God. Meeting at Tucker Carlson's compound. He already has a compound in Maine with Representative Thomas Massey, Maytag, and others. Captured a photo posted by Green on Saturday.
How it's going?
DJ Coolmaster, doing good. Just complaining about the politics. How you doing? I'm hoping that Tucker Carlson starts a third party and then wrecks the Republicans, and then we get a big DSA wave. That would be lovely. I would love that. We said no more foreign wars, and we meant it, and supported Donald Trump because he made that promise. But he betrayed us all, Green wrote in the Post. The movement has begun. Sorry, I didn't read that in her voice. Joe Kent, the former Trump National Security official who resigned earlier this year and attended the weekend confab with Carlson, said the group congregated to strategize on how best to organize their shared opposition to
Watching
the war.
that Michigan primary was stressful AF.
Yeah, it was. It was real close. I was hoping for 10 points for El Sayed, but it was only like 4 and then 3 and then 2 and then 1. And I was like, so yeah, I was up late last night watching it until they called it on the MSNBC. And I was like, okay, good. I can go to bed now. Yeah, I'm glad he won. And that's what I was talking about earlier is the Dems are going to throw a fit and complain about him a lot. They're going to scream about how he's too far to the left and he's not electable. But electable, it just means you're approved by the donors, which irritates the shit out of me. You should be doing what the people want rather than what the corporations tell you to do and pay you to do. But that's what Haley Stevens was doing, is collecting what she was being paid to run her campaign, to then vote to give them more money, and then they would give her some. Yeah, it's just a bad way to run a government. And maybe, if we're lucky, Tucker can wreck the Republican Party this way. There's a lot more nuts and bolts work that needs to be done here, Kent said in an interview. The Young Turks, the progressive talk show, running as a third party candidate is challenging. Not impossible, but it's very challenging. But that's the kind of consensus that we came to, that the current system just simply doesn't work, and that we have to find something new to save our country. Carlson, Green, and Massey all backed Trump ahead of the 2024 election, but each one broke up with Trump over the course of his second term of the Trump administration, continued to coordinate military operations with Israel in the Middle East. Green and Massey were also loudly critical of Trump's opposition to releasing federal investigation documents, referring to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes.
Further drawing Trump's
Electable
ire.
Stevens. The same Stevens who lit 80+ mil on fire in a primary.
Yeah, absolutely. Electable. Yeah, electable just means the donors will give her money. So that's what that word means. The donors gave her $80 million, so she's electable. El Sayed doesn't get that money from the donors, hence he is unelectable. It's kind of a shit system. You know, if you say things that are anti-capitalist, if you say things that are not helping some company make money, then no company gives you money to run your campaign. And you have to expect people to chip in. You have to expect small donor donations, the way Bernie does, because he's anti-capitalism. He's not anti-capitalist, not quite as far as some people on the left, or me maybe, but he's still left of center, you know, and so is El Sayed, and that's good. The further left you go, the less corporate money you get. If you go too far left, you can't even get people to watch your videos. Or people don't want to platform you because of your anti-capitalist ideas, or you're going to shit on the people who run the commercials. If you were on MSNBC pushing left-leaning anti-capitalist ideas, that might cause the company of MSNBC to make less money. Then they would fire you. I was looking at the outlets, and they were expecting Stevens to have a blowout wins in Oakland and Detroit, but didn't happen. She honestly underperformed a lot there. Different people were saying different things. I was seeing some places saying that El Sayed was going to be up by 10 by the end, and that she was going to get this. It was the polls are always wrong. Never listen to pollsters. They're always wrong about everything. They told us Hillary was going to win, and she didn't. They told us that Bernie was ahead in several of the primary states a long time ago, and he wasn't, and then he lost. They told us that Donald Trump wasn't going to win again, and he did. They told us that Kamala was 15 points ahead in fucking New Hampshire or some shit, and then she wasn't. Pollsters don't know how to do the polls anymore. It is a dead art. The internet, the cell phones, the social media, pollsters don't take that shit into account. They don't. They can't. And half of it's filled with robots anyway. I mean, every one of my streams is filled with some sort of AI robot trying to get me to buy viewers. And the polls don't work anymore. Pollsters don't work. The voting works fine, but the people asking ahead of time can't do that shit no more. They cannot do that shit anymore. They don't know how to do it in the 21st century. They're still doing 20th century polling, and it's not functioning. It's not giving them the accurate results any longer. So yeah, don't listen to polls. Don't listen to pollsters. Don't listen to the what's his name on CNN? What's the guy? Henry Enton, I think is his name. He's better than most, but he's also just doing pollster stuff on CNN. He stands in front of the board. Not Kornacki. You should watch Kornacki because that's who I was watching last night. It's who I always watch on election nights. Kornacki's great because he's got the big board. And he's got the counties, and he's got the numbers, and he's got the math, and he knows all the stuff. That is good politics, but it happens after the votes. Any counting done before the voting doesn't work anymore. Nobody knows how to do it. What else we got? It's unclear who could lead the newborn movement. Kent said every attendee at the main meeting urged Carlson to run for president in 2028 and with their group backing, but noted that Carlson said he wouldn't run. Hopefully he wakes up one day and Tucker says he's going to run. Carlson and Massey did not respond to requests for comment. Green declined. The challenge facing third-party and independent presidential candidates are enormous. They must navigate different signature requirements and deadlines in each state just to get on the ballot. Past independent campaigns have been unable to compete financially with the two major parties. And this Tucker running, I honestly think he is going to run. He says he's not right now, but you have to say that because if you say I am running for president, if you say I, Tucker Carlson, am running for president, laws kick in. Certain campaign finance laws begin the minute you say that sentence into a camera, into the thing. You have to start then keeping track of how much money you're given, how much you're spending, and how much you're doing on this. And you have to have an accountant, and campaign finance law kicks in when you say it. So you have to be careful. That's why the announcements happen on the news so often, is that they announce, hey, I am running. Hey, I've created a exploratory committee or some shit like that. Law kicks in. So that's why he's saying no right now. I honestly do think that Tucker Carlson will run as J.D. Vance's vice president. And I've been talking about the midterms all this time. That's what El Sayed is running for, is the midterms. He didn't win the Senate seat. He won the primary. He will now run against a Republican in this coming November election. And it's going to be a shit show. It is going to be wild. It's going to be loud. It is going to be violent. There is going to actually be violence at these midterms. Because Donald Trump and the right wing are going to send ICE and Border Patrol to the polls to fuck with them. They're going to send ICE to blue zones, to blue places with non-white populations and hassle them while they're standing in line to vote. They're going to do everything they can. Donald Trump has already shot down everything he can about mail-in voting and absentee voting. He hates mail-in voting. He thinks it's a scam. He's a liar and he's wrong and he's factually incorrect, but he doesn't care about the facts. He just feels like the people who vote by mail could be lying, even though they sign it and you can't send it. I can't send in 1,000 fake mail votes. That wouldn't work. It doesn't function that way. I can't sign up 1,000 times and get 1,000 ballots and fill out 1,000 ballots and then send them in. That doesn't happen anywhere ever. There is no voting fraud happening in America. There's not. It just doesn't exist.
Trump votes by mail himself.
He absolutely does. Because, well, he's allowed to. Because he's special, you see. He can be trusted. You can't be trusted. DJ Coolmaster, you can't be trusted with that kind of power and authority. You might steal somebody else's vote. You might knock somebody down and steal their ballot and then fill it out for them and then mail it. You might knock over a old folks home and steal hundreds of ballots and then fill it out for the leftists and the Democrats and then mail them all in under the elderly people's names. It doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't happen, and no one's ever done it, but they pretend that it does happen. They imagine that it does happen, and this very much upsets them. The thing that they imagined is very disturbing. So they want to make a bunch of real laws to prevent the thing that they imagined from happening. In their attempt to fix and rig and harm this midterm election, they are going to send ICE agents to the polling places in non-white districts, in big cities. Your Minnesota already had the issue in St. Paul and stuff like that. We saw them when ICE came in. So LA's going to get ICE agents. Big cities in Minnesota are going to get it. Philly's going to get it. A lot of blue cities are going to get ICE agents hassling the people standing in line to vote. When they do that, somebody's going to push back. Somebody's going to tell them, you're not allowed to stand here. You're not allowed to be here. You can't tell me what to do. I don't answer to you. You're ICE. You're Immigration and Customs Enforcement. I'm an American citizen. I will vote, and you're not going to stop me. And then ICE is going to tase them, pepper spray them, deploy tear gas, and everyone in that voting line is going to run away. And then Fox News will tell you that Iran and Somali pirates attacked the polling station and ICE saved the day. And then the rest of the news is going to tell you that ICE prevented legal votes. And Donald Trump will tell you that he needs to take the ballots. He needs to go into there. He's going to tell the CIA, the FBI, to confiscate the voting machinery and the ballots and bring them back to DC so that he can check over every single one and tell you who won. That is what he's going to try and do. I don't know how successful he's going to be. Maybe it happens one time, one guy gets pepper sprayed and everybody chases the fucking ICE out. I don't know. It's up in the air. But it's going to happen. And because it's going to happen, the news media is going to tell you one side and the other side. The right wing is going to tell you how Iran attacked our voting infrastructure and ICE saved us. And then the Dems are going to tell you that it's a catastrophe and they would have won had ICE not chased everybody out. And it's going to make a fucking mess. If the Dems hold the House, which they probably will, they might have the Senate. If they have 50 votes in the Senate, they're not going to impeach Donald Trump. They're not. If they have 52, 53, 54, they might. It's unlikely that they'll have that many, but there might be some talk of impeaching Donald Trump. If the impeachment starts to happen, if they have 52 votes and Chuck Schumer just cannot stop it, he doesn't want to impeach Donald Trump. No. Donald Trump is great for Chuck Schumer's donation emails. He loves that shit. He sends out donation emails all the time, begging people for money, demanding money from individual people, and making phone calls to very rich donors saying, Trump is so bad. Isn't Trump so terrible? Look how terrible Trump is. You're going to have to give me some more money. He loves that shit because that's his job. Make more money. It's not to protect you. It's not to give you what you need. It's not to help you with the government. His job is to make more money for himself first and the stock market second. That's his second job. Himself, then the stock market. And the Democratic Party is a whole third. His state fourth. You, if you are the constituent of that state, a distant fifth on his list of priorities. And he's not going to allow Donald Trump to be impeached. If it does happen, because he can't control all the people, if he can't convince 5 of them to turn that shit down, there will be an impeachment hearing. That won't go through. No. This is just my prediction, and I know predicting things is hard, especially the future. But I'm telling you, the Dems, even if they win the Senate, will not try to impeach Donald Trump. Hi, Garlic Twitch. What's up? Thanks for coming in. Complaining and I'm prognosticating. I'm bloviating and predicting the future here. The Dems will not try to impeach him. They will threaten it, and then J.D. Vance will push the 25th Amendment. Absolutely he will. J.D. Vance will push the 25th Amendment. He will get rid of Trump and say that he's gone delusional, his mind is ruined, and he needs to be removed. It'll go through, and there will be a weird, bloody civil war inside. Maybe not literally bloody, but there will be a weird knockdown, drag-out fight between J.D. Vance, all the people in the cabinet, airing out each other's dirty laundry. It will happen. J.D. Vance will say, okay, we have to get rid of Donald Trump. Someone within the cabinet will support Donald Trump and then tell you about all the crimes that J.D. Vance did. And then J.D. Vance will tell you about all the laws that person in the cabinet broke. And then they will just shit all over each other. And it'll be this weird, disgusting girl fight, like a reality show where all the girls, what's that one with the housewives of fucking New Jersey or some shit. It'll be the housewives of New Jersey in the cabinet. They'll all blame each other. They'll explode. They'll yell at each other. They'll say, you broke this law and you did this thing. And I don't want to be the one to let this out on the news, but you had sex with a dude. It'll be a whole thing within the cabinet, and it'll blow up and it'll be all over the place. It'll be a damn mess, and no one will know what to do. It will be giant news. All of the news media will love it. I'll have a lot to talk about, but the end will be J.D. Vance as president with someone else new as vice president. That doesn't make the third in line go to the second in line. He'll just choose a vice president. And then he will serve 2 years as president. He will then be allowed by law to run 2 more times, and he will do so with Tucker Carlson as his running mate. J.D. Vance will choose Tucker Carlson to be his vice president in the 2028 election. Their platform, wait for it, ready for this? Anti-Israel platform. Waldo, they love Israel. Yeah, they do. They love ethno-states. Tucker Carlson specifically loves ethno-states. He loves the idea of all the people within this country being exactly one race. And if you want a different race, you have to go to a different country. If you are of a different race, you have to go to that country. Can't have any black people in America. That's just confusing. America's for white people, according to Tucker Carlson. Israel's for Jewish people only. Nigeria is for Nigerians only. No white people are allowed to live there. It's insane, but that's what he's going to do. That's what they're going to push. And they're going to put on an anti-Israel platform. No more money for their bombs. No more money for their wars. No more money for their genocide. That will be the thing that gets the people in the center to vote for them. They're going to distance themselves from Donald Trump, say, hey, he made all these mistakes. Hey, he did all this bad stuff. Yeah, we see it. I got rid of him with the 25th Amendment. You need to vote for me. And I'll make Israel stop robbing you. Meta's going to keep robbing you, and Facebook's going to keep robbing you, and the Doge is going to keep robbing you, and Elon's going to keep robbing you, and Lockheed Martin is going to keep robbing you, and Boeing is going to keep robbing you, and the crypto coins are going to keep robbing you, and I'm going to keep robbing you, and the stock market is going to keep robbing you, but Israel won't rob you anymore. And that will be the 2028 election. Of course, all of this is highly speculative. I'm just telling you what I'm thinking, telling you what I'm feeling, making shit up as I go, telling you where I think it's going to go and what direction these things are going to move. So if you think I'm right, if you think I'm wrong, let me know. Tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling. If you're in Twitch chat, the wonderful robot lady will read your stuff out loud.
Robot.
There's a robot. Lovely robot lady. If you're in YouTube chat, she won't. I'm sorry. I love you over in YouTube chat. But YouTube doesn't love you. Chat is sad. See, YouTube chat appears on the screen, but it doesn't read it out loud because the YouTube doesn't like you. Sorry. I appreciate everyone's here tonight. It is 9 o'clock. That's usually when I knock off for the evening. I do about 2 hours of stream on Wednesdays and then 2 hours on Saturday mornings. So thanks for coming in, Garlic. And DJ Coolmaster, thanks for coming by. If you want to, you can go on to the Discord. Bam, there's the link. And you can leave comments. You can talk to, about politics with all the other crazy people that are there. You can leave links to put things up on screen. And if you leave a link to a cool story and I think it's cool and I want to talk about it, I'll put it up on the screen. We can talk about it. I'll use your link and then I'll tell everybody that you did it. And if you leave cool memes, I'll put them up on the start screen. This meme that you see right there with the Hardy Boys and the Secret of the Dead Senator was sent to me through the Discord by a username Shincinto. So if you've got cool memes, put them up in the Discord and I'll put them up on the screen. It'll be a good time. We'll have a good time. It'll be interactive. It'll be a whole thing. That is it for me tonight. I appreciate everybody who's here. Thank you very much. I will be back on Saturday morning, 10 a.m. West Coast, Best Coast PST time, unless the Gestapo kicks in my door and drags me off to a gulag. Thanks. Goodbye.